Recently, more than ever, I started wondering if smartphones are getting better than actual cameras for video making and vlogging. So I want to talk about that topic and I want to get your opinion on that. And for that, we just hop outside and do a real world vlogging test with both of these. When I started out our main channel, Deanna and Phil, together with my girlfriend, we started out filming on a smartphone and more specifically on an old Samsung S7. So we made like 10 or 20 videos fully just using that phone and it was fine. But since we really started to liking the video making process, we were thinking about upgrading to a real camera. So after a couple of months, that's what we did, and we purchased the Canon M50, which in my opinion is still one of the best YouTubers cameras out there. And once we got that, we kind of stopped using my old Samsung S7, and I also got a GoPro as my second camera, which is always a nice second addition to a main camera. But then lately, over the last 1 or 2 years, smartphones making kind of an interesting development. They're starting to implement super wide-angle lenses, they're starting to implement zoom lenses more and more. And my question is that a good substitute for an actual camera where you can exchange lenses, get that zoom range? Because that is what smartphones were missing until now. So it's 2019 now, and most new smartphones come with a triple lens setup. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, maybe I should get a new phone since my S7 is kind of getting a little old. And if I do so and I'm making videos, maybe I should get a phone with decent video quality. So I kind of decided to go with an awesome camera phone, and I watched hours and hours of reviews, and in the end I narrowed it down to either the Huawei P30 Pro or one of the Samsung S10s. And in the end I choose the Samsung S10, which we are filming on right now. That had a couple of different reasons. The audio sounded way better in all the tests from the Samsung S10. Also, the super wide angle cam is wider, and the selfie cam also seemed quality-wise better than the one on the P30 Pro. So I was looking at different Samsung S10 deals, and I kind of ended up with the S10e because I found a very good deal for that, which only means I'm missing the telephoto lens, the zoom lens, but the quality of the normal lens and the super wide angle lens should be the same on the S10e, the S10, the S10 Plus, and also the Note 10. But shortly after my purchase, the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro came out, and that's all the hype right now. But I think the quality between the S10 and the iPhone is not that big of a difference. One of my favorite camera phone comparison channels is Mr. Who's the Boss, and he did a comparison pitching the S10 against the iPhone 11, and it was very, very close. I think the differences are kind of so small in the same generation that you can really go with either one. Okay, let's walk a bit in the shadows here. Well, let's see what that looks like if the quality changes. So I got really excited getting that phone, getting it out of the box, trying it out, and I started recording, and I noticed a couple of things. Well, first of all, recording and then re-watching your videos on that screen, they look absolutely fantastic. And you think, oh my God, this is such awesome quality. I'm so glad I bought this phone. Let's hook it up to the computer and edit it a little bit. And as soon as I did that and I opened a file on my computer screen, the quality just looked way worse than it did on the actual phone screen. Not to say that it looked absolutely horrible, but the quality difference was definitely there. So I want to do a little comparison between this phone rig setup and the Canon M50 setup, which I have in the back. I'm going to show you the rigs in a minute. So far we're recording on the ultra wide angle lens, and let me switch that to the normal one quickly. Boop. This is the normal lens. It's a little narrower, it zooms in a bit, it's not as wide. I don't know if you would use this for vlogging. One of the main reasons I bought that phone was that ultra wide angle lens, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts in a second. Let me just show you what this rig looks like right now and compare it to a real mirrorless camera. Alright, so this is basically what we were recording on. I got the Samsung S10e here. I got it into a little very cheap tripod from Amazon. Need one of these phone clips here. And I got the Rode Video Micro on it, which is, in my opinion, the most recommended YouTuber's microphone. Works with a smartphone, works with a mirrorless camera, which we're on right now. With a phone, it can be a little bit tricky to get this cable set up right, but this is basically what it looks like. And when I film like that, I don't really see myself, which is a problem. But if you flip it around, you have to use the selfie camera to film yourself, and that quality is usually just a little worse. So this is the smartphone rig, and I'm going to show you the camera rig right now. Alright, and this is what we're comparing to. We got the Canon M50 right here. I got the kit lens, the 15 to 45 millimeter, which is not the widest, but it does the job. I think it's wide enough on 15 millimeters. I got a similar microphone on here. This is not the Rode Video Micro. This is a Comica mic, and it should be almost equal in quality. I would suggest going with the Rode though, and I chose to put the Rode on the smartphone because the handling noise on the Rode Video Micro is just better than this one on the Comica. The big advantage, you see it right there, is the selfie screen. Yeah, let me just walk around a little bit with this one and see if it looks better than this one. Now we're on the M50, the real camera, and I want to know from you guys what looks better. Does this look substantially better than the phone or does it not? While I'm walking here in the shade, I'm going to go in the sun in a second, but I want to talk about a couple of advantages that the phone definitely has against a camera. The first one that comes to mind, absolutely ease of use. Once we switched from the phone to a camera, I just got aware of how easy the phone was to use. Granted, a Canon camera is one of the easiest to use from all the mirrorless systems, but it's still a very, very big step up from using a smartphone. Another advantage, I have to switch arms here, is absolutely the weight of the camera. Even though this is one of the smallest mirrorless cameras out there and it's smaller than any DSLR camera, a phone is just way lighter than a camera. Let's see how it handles this exposure change here. It's super bright, the sun. The camera is just a little heavier, and if you walk around, hold it out, arms straight, it becomes a little bit of an exercise. And if you do that for a minute or two, you definitely have to switch and alternate arms every now and then. Alright, we're going into a horrible backlit situation here. A big advantage of the phone, of course, is you always have it with you. People always say the best camera is the one that is with you, because if you leave your camera at home and you find something awesome to shoot, you don't have it with you, you can't get it. Another thing that surprises me big time with the new generation of phones is their low light capabilities. They're just getting so good in dark situations, and to be honest, this one is not that great in low light. But all these processing power that these smartphones do nowadays, they're getting very good at shooting photos at night and also videos at night. And when I read the comments under any comparison of a camera or a phone, they always say a phone can never be as good as a bigger size sensor because the sensor size is the most important thing. But I'm not sure if that's true anymore, because the phone has all these software side processing powers and they just use software to make everything look so good. I don't get it why this tiny sensor is that good in low light, or they do all these other artificial processing, which in the end starts kind of looking good by now. I'm back on the phone right now, same situation, and I want to talk about these processing things for a second. One thing that you might notice, I just saw that on the M50, I'm going from the shadows into the direct sunlight. The dynamic range is a problem and it's struggling. And these new phones have high dynamic range video recording. So I don't know what it looks like. Let me just get backlit here and compare that to the Canon shot like 30 seconds ago where I was walking into this direction. I'm sure my face was pretty dark and I'm not sure what it looks like right now because I can't see myself. But you'd be the judge. Does this look better than the actual camera? Another new feature, which is kind of like a gimmick by now, but these cameras on the phone can blur your background. I don't know if it's working right now because I don't see myself, and it's supposed to mirror this bokeh effect that you get from a bigger camera. And let me know what this looks like. Is it usable or does it look funny? I think I have it on 3 or 4 of 7 right now. I'm going to turn it up just for the fun of it all the way. And this is the full blurriness at maximum level. I'm sure it looks horrible right now, but I don't know. Is it usable? Does it look like a cinematic, big, full frame, awesome $4,000 camera? Okay, so these phones can do all these funky things, blurry background, high dynamic range, all that good stuff. It's fun to play around with, and I got very excited when I got that phone. But in the end, I'm not very happy with the phone. And here are the reasons why I wouldn't fully change it yet and why I still think that a real camera is superior to these phones. Well, first of all, I bought this mainly for the ultra wide angle lens, which we're on right now. And using that lens is not much fun for me because the quality is just a little worse than the one of the regular lens. And that becomes more apparent when you're shooting in low light situations. So I kind of feel pressured to use the normal lens instead of the wide angle lens because I want to get the best quality at all times. And I got this for the ultra wide, so it's kind of a conflict and that just annoys me. Another similar disadvantage is about the selfie cam. I would love to see myself while I'm filming. That's just so nice if you have that on a real camera to see what you're actually doing. And that means using the selfie cam on a phone. But then again, the selfie cam is just worse than the other two lenses, the one on the back side. So I feel pressure to use the lenses on the back side, even though I would like to see myself. And one thing that I noticed once I put the files on my computer and looked at them, and that gave me the initial disappointment, was the image stabilization. First of all, the image stabilization is super good on this phone. As you can see right now, it's probably better than any other of the bigger cameras. However, especially in low light situations, you see all these jitters in the background. Let me see if I can reproduce that here. It's a little shady, so maybe if I run for a second, we'll see if the background, almost tripped there, if the background is jittering or not. Let's try that one more time on the regular lens, not the wide angle. See if it's there or not. I will have to look at it at the computer when I'm back home. But this is basically what it looks like if you run. Stabilization is good, and as long as you're filming in good lighting conditions, it's very usable. But as soon as you go low light, a couple of problems just occur. Then a couple of more things happens with the recordings of this phone, which I found kind of weird. We were filming a talking shot in the car just using the phone, and the audio just went out of sync, and I think later in that clip into sync again, and you can really not use it then, and the audio is kind of messed up. I think that's mediocre. I think I'm a Dunkin' guy. I think Dunkin's is better than Krispy Kreme. Another thing that I noticed, when I import all the video files from the phone into Premiere Pro, it shows that the frame rates differ from one clip to another, and that phone should basically record in 29.96 frames per second at all times. And as you can see here, sometimes it's a little over 30, sometimes it's a little under 30, and I have no explanation for that. If anybody knows why that is happening, please let me know. And a last minor problem, depending on what you shoot, it might become a bigger one or not. The wide angle lens lets you only record in 30 frames. If you want to record in 60 frames per second, or if you switch your settings to 60 frames per second in the menu, the wide angle lens disappears. You can only use the normal lens. So all of these reasons combined, the biggest factor for me not to fully switch to a phone at this moment is really reliability. The audio goes out of sync, or you have weird jitters in your video, or maybe even the frame rates differ. All these factors are kind of unknown, and you don't really have any control over that on the phone. And that is why I don't want to switch fully to a phone right now and would rather use a camera, because none of these issues occurred on that. However, let's jump indoors quickly to see what kind of quality the phone can get us in a studio environment. So this is what the phone looks like indoor with a studio setup. It's really just a room and a cheap studio light right there. And that's the quality that you can get. And in my opinion, yes, you can use a phone like this as your one and only camera for YouTube or video making or vlogging or whatever you call it. For me, at the moment though, this generation of phones does not substitute fully for a mirrorless camera like this. This is just more reliable and looks still a little bit nicer in my opinion. But please let me know what you think about this entire phones versus camera discussion. Maybe somebody's even using a phone as their full-time camera at the moment. I'm not really sure what to do right now. I'm thinking about getting an ultra-wide lens for the Canon M50. I'm just going to use this phone as a secondary camera to maybe get B-roll shots when I'm out and about. I have it on me at all times, and that really is the biggest advantage of this phone, and the convenience and the ease of use. In certain circumstances looks even better than a camera. And let's face it, the last 2 years has been very exciting for smartphone videography. All these features are coming out. They implement triple lenses, quadruple lenses. You can zoom in now without losing quality. You have the super wide without losing quality, or at least losing much quality. And they're starting to blur the background, which is at this point still a gimmick, and I would not use it because it kind of looks a little funky around the edges. But who knows in future, all these software side processing that phones do and that cameras don't do, makes it kind of exciting. And I don't really care about how big your sensor is. I really care about the end result, what comes out and what the picture looks like. And if this development continues and smartphones are gonna get better in like 2 or 3 generations, they might be better than actual cameras. Because on the camera market, you see Sony and Canon and Fuji and all these companies doing very stupid things. They're releasing the same cameras, the same hardware over and over again for years. Canon is like taking 24 frames out of their cameras. They're ripping away features on purpose, and it's just stupid decisions in 2 or 3 smartphone generations, aka in 2 or 3 years. In my opinion, these things might outperform those things.